Hi, I'm Lakeisha Morrison. I am co-chair for the Juneteenth Committee. This is our 4th year going, and we are so excited about sharing this event with the community. It's always been an amazing time of the year to celebrate and to just get involved in the community and do community things and celebrate history in whole.
When I say June, you say teen. June. June. When I say celebrate, you say freedom. Celebrate. Freedom. Celebrate. Freedom. June. Freedom. June. Freedom. Celebrate. Freedom. Celebrate. Freedom. All right, who's excited for the walk? We're going to take 1,865 steps. And what's the significance of that number? What's the significance? Somebody shout it out. Why is 1865 significant? Yes, it's the day that all enslaved peoples were declared to be free by the United States government. So, my name is Cornelius Godfrey. I am an educator and educational consultant. But more than that, I'm just a fan of education. Anybody like learning? Now, I see some young people with some hands not up. I didn't say, do you like school necessarily? I said, do you like learning? Okay, I see some additional hands. So here's the thing about learning. It doesn't always happen in school. I'm a big proponent of public school. I grew up in public school. I send my children to public school. I spent the most of my adult life working in public schools. But here's the thing. Schools don't teach us everything, do they? Oh, y'all. Schools don't teach us, and they can't teach us everything, because there are some things that schools don't know. You know who does know it? Us. The community, we know it. And there are things that we know that we can help and come alongside schools to add some richness, some depth to the education kids receive in school. So this is not downing schools, but the job of education is too big for one institution. That's why we have families, that's why we have communities, that's why we have municipalities like Royal Oak. And by the way, let's give it a big hand for the Royal Oak Juneteenth Planning Committee. Come on, y'all can do better than that. Experiencing one of the essential components of community, and that's educating. Right? It's not all up to schools, families, communities, we also educate. So we're going to take a trip down through history. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Help me, DJ Roy. All right, so what you see here is a timeline with some very major events highlighted for us to consider in this short amount of time we have together. It starts with the year 1619. Anybody know why that's the start? Uh-oh, I see a hand back there.
It's when people came to Africa and kidnapped people and enslaved them.
Young people learning things. And then the next point on the timeline is 1776. And somebody here knows why 1776 is significant. Anybody? Uh-oh, say it. All right, look, a different young lady. All right, young brothers, y'all gonna have to step it up.
It was when the Declaration of Independence was signed.
Yes, give her a hand. Declaration of Independence. And then what about 1863? 1863, what happened?
All right, we got someone over here.
I heard somebody, did you say that? Oh, somebody over here said it. He said the Emancipation Proclamation, absolutely. And then 1865 represents the day that we're celebrating today, which was June 19th, 1865, when General Major Gordon Granger made his way to the port of Galveston and made the declaration of Proclamation number 3, which said that all slaves were now free. And then the road continues, right? There is 1964, which represents the Voting Rights Act. I mean, the answers are right behind me. I'm asking y'all what these dates meant. And they're right on. I forgot I put them on there. I could have just read them. 1964, the Voting Rights Act. And then finally we make it to 2021. What happened in 2021? Yes, it is our newest federal holiday. So this is helpful, and I believe it gives an idea, but I want to do something a little bit better. I need 5 volunteers. 5 volunteers. All right, I got 1. Come on. I see another one, 2. I see a 3rd, 3. Appreciate it. All right, I have 4. Somebody gonna hold it down for the brothers. Somebody gonna hold it down for the brothers. All right, here we go. That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. And you all might see this better from right here, but I'm gonna let you make your adult choices. But you might see it better from here because we're gonna be lining up this way. All right, so who's my first one to raise your hand? All right, I'm gonna ask you to stand right there. All right, second person, can I have you stand right here? All right, a third person. All right, I'm gonna need you to stand relatively close to her. Okay, y'all want to touch each other. But a little bit closer. There we go, she don't bite. One more. Can I have you stand right here? Thank you so much. And then last but not least, I'm gonna have you stand right here. Thank you so much. All right, so here's what we've done. All the individuals in this line are actually placed to the year, the distance between these events on the timeline. So recognize how far they are apart. Uh-oh, am I missing somebody? All right, I need one more volunteer. Thank you so much. And have you stand right here. All right, we fixed it. Now these folks are standing as far apart in years as they are apart in history. So they're in a line that's about 20 feet long. So each inch represents 2 years, or each half inch represents 1 year. Y'all said, we didn't come here to do math. Well, can't get away from it. So each year is represented by a half an inch. So just take a moment and think about 1619 right here, 1776 right here, 1863, and then super close 1865, and 1964, and then finally 2021. So I wanted to take just a brief moment and to think about the significance of these days and times. Can you tell us your name?
Amaya.
Y'all give Amaya a hand. So Amaya actually answered the question about what the significance was. Oh, was that? Oh no, that was somebody else. But you answered one of the questions, but I want you all to think about the significance of 1619. Those were the first Africans to be brought as enslaved people to the United States. And I want you to notice something about the language that I'm using. Have you all heard me refer to them as slaves? No? Why not? Why am I not referring to them as slaves? Well, yes, they were human beings. And I think the word slave seems to press upon this idea that they were perpetually or inherently slaves. They were not. They were humans and they were enslaved. And the word enslaved reminds us that someone was doing the act. They weren't slaves just because they were born into slavery, although many were. They were enslaved because someone was enslaving them. And I think that's an important distinction. So freedom was always the goal. Freedom was always the hope. What do you think happened to the people who were brought to the colonies in 1619? What do you think happened? Did they ever meet the goal of freedom? No, they did not. But were their lives wasted? Did their lives still have meaning? Yes, the answer is yes. And the reason I think it's significant for us to acknowledge that, yes, they had freedom as a goal. No, they did not reach it. But they still lived lives that had hopes and dreams. And one of the challenges that I think we face as an American society is the pressure or the inclination to dehumanize one another. To dehumanize one another. Desmond Tutu said something very powerful. He said that my humanity is bound up together with yours. He said, I can't be human without you, and you can't be human without me. In other words, the people who were being dehumanized in 1619 were not just the enslaved Africans. Who else was being dehumanized? The enslavers. Thank you so much. I think we have to recognize and acknowledge as a country that the impact of slavery was not just on the enslaved. It was on everyone. Think about how less of a human I have to become to treat you like less of a human. How much less of a human I can be when I am not honoring the humanity that exists inside of you. All right, and now we move to 1776. What's your name?
Liberty.
Wow. Wow. I could not have planned that any better. Your name is Liberty. That is a beautiful name, and what a beautiful spot for you to be standing on. 1776 is the day that is celebrated on what day of the year? Tell them, Liberty.
4th of July.
Yes, the 4th of July. And it's interesting. What are we celebrating on July 4th, 1776? Freedom, liberty. The freedom from the British, the freedom and independence of the United States and the colonies. But I want you to hear something. There's a different perspective to be had and held about 1776, July 4th. And it's shared to us by none other than Frederick Douglass. Y'all know who Frederick Douglass is? Abolitionist, proponent of the ending of slavery, pushed Lincoln toward making that final decision. Here's what he said about the 4th of July when asked to deliver a speech in 1852 on July 5th. He said, "What to the American slave is your 4th of July?" Frederick Douglass was coming with the smoke. He said, "I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in this the year your gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. Said, I will not enlarge further on your national inconsistencies. The existence of slavery in this country brands your republicanism a sham." He says, "Your humanity a base pretense and your Christianity a lie. It destroys your moral power abroad. It corrupts your politicians at home. It saps the foundation of religion. It makes your name a hissing and a byword, a mocking earth. It is the antagonistic force for your government. The only thing that seriously disturbs and endangers your union." Listen, did y'all hear that? Frederick Douglass had this scathing rebuke, this harsh criticism, this sarcastic diatribe based on what he knew was hypocrisy. Because if slavery began in 1619 and we're celebrating freedom on 1776, that math ain't mathing. Something doesn't add up. And the thing that doesn't add up is named by Douglass in that speech. He says freedom is only freedom if we are all free. Have you ever heard that before? Dr. King said, none of us are free. Somebody finish it. Until all of us are free. None of us are free until all of us are free. Can I have your name?
Endiva.
Endiva standing at 1863. So here's what happened at 1863. And I want to correct the record if any of us have been told something different. In 1863, President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, right? And it freed the slaves, right? Wrong. It did not. First of all, they were enslaved people. They were enslaved people. And we know for a fact that it only applied to Confederate places where the Union Army was. So if there was no Union Army, they could not enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. So the real deal happens in 1865. What's your name?
Audrey.
Audrey standing at 1865. You see how close they are together? Just a couple years later. And that's when, in the summer of 1865, on June 19th, General Gordon Granger arrived at the port of Galveston and declared General Order Number 3, which said that all states now were prohibited from holding their slaves in bondage. But there was a recommendation made that they stay on the places where they were working and that they not be idle. But I want to remind us that in addition to Juneteenth in 1865, we also celebrate the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Who knows what the 13th Amendment is? All right, the 13th Amendment, shout it out. What did the 13th Amendment do? Yeah, it made slavery unconstitutional except for one circumstance. So slavery was declared unconstitutional by the 13th Amendment except under one specific circumstance. Does anybody know what that circumstance is? Yes, imprisonment or the committing of a crime, the conviction of a crime. Well, guess what? If you have been recently freed from slavery in 1865, what do you not have? Property, food, water, clothes. And did you all know there's a law that says you can't be on property that's not yours? It's called vagrancy. So what we celebrate is still a thing, but it's largely symbolic, because many enslaved folks who were set free were then brought back into slavery because they had broken the laws, like vagrancy. All right, we're getting close to the end. What's your name?
Katie.
Katie? Katie's now standing in a place called 1964. So in 1964, the Voting Rights Act was passed. And here's what this did. This gave all Americans, all citizens, the protected right to vote. See, their freedom from enslavement should have done that. But we know that the 100 years between 1865 and 1964 were spent doing all kinds of things to prevent black people from voting. But in 1964, the Voting Rights Act said that no legal activity could be used to withhold the right to vote from voters. And then finally we come to, what's your name?
Adriana.
This is Adriana. She's standing at 2021. And 2021 is the year that Juneteenth became a national holiday. And I want to ask a question, just by a show of hands. How many people feel more than one way about Juneteenth? Anybody feel more than one way? My hand is up. I feel more than one way about Juneteenth. Let's be honest. It's a day to celebrate, but there's a part of us that recognizes there are some things that don't feel good to celebrate. And I think that it's important for us to acknowledge that it's okay to feel more than one way. On one hand, I'm excited that the national recognition for this day finally brings some intellectual justice to the idea that we didn't just get here, and the state of people and society as it is didn't just happen, but it happened as a result of events in time. That those events now impact us today. And I think this is the way that we nationally recognize that. But on the other hand, I struggle. Ask me why I struggle. I'm glad you asked. I struggle because of all the things that we could have accomplished in 2021. Of all the ways we could have moved forward, of all the ways we could have moved the needle of justice and liberation forward. Making Juneteenth wasn't necessarily on my bingo card. But we have it now. And now this is an opportunity for us to do this vital community function, which is educating ourselves and each other. We know that schools can't do it on their own. They need help from us. And sometimes the main job for us is doing the learning ourselves. Going back and retracing our own family histories and our own country's history to think about how we might further educate the next generation. And it's not lost on me that the majority of our volunteers are young people, and I really appreciate that. And I have something for each of you. Who likes green? There you go. Let's give Adriana a hand. Does anybody like red? Uh-oh. Let's give Vendiva a hand. Oh, awesome. Who likes sparkles? Okay, I have two of these. Katie, there you go, Katie. Give Katie a hand. Okay. What's your name? Amaya, let's give Amaya a hand. I have two yellows and a red. Yellow. There you go. What's your name? Give Audrey a hand. And let's give Liberty a big round of applause. All right, thank you all so much. All right, so I was asked to hold some space for a little bit of question and answer. So who wants to ask a question or talk about something or share a thought or reflection about Juneteenth? Okay.
I'm Lakeisha Morrison. I'm one of the committee members for the Juneteenth celebration. I will say that when I went to school in elementary all the way through high school in Royal Oak, I was a bit embarrassed when we spoke on and was educated about African American studies or Black history, and unfortunately the books that we read was just very demeaning to Black people. So it was extremely frustrating and embarrassing for me, and especially being one of only 10 Black children in the schools, and those 10 Black children were my siblings and my cousins. So now that I'm raising children in our community in Royal Oak, I will say that the education has gotten so much better. A, because we've got very strong, loving family members that supported us through it all and was able to be our voice. And then we've got people in the community that was actually looking out for us as well, along with teachers. So I want my children of color to be able to stand up and use your voice when you see something is wrong, or when you see something that needs to be corrected, or even asking questions. Black History Month isn't just for 1 month, it's all year round. So we want to make sure we educate everyone, even your students, your friends, your white friends, all different kind of shades and races. We want to make sure that we educate and stay together as a community and learn from the bad things in history. We have to be educated on that too, so we don't repeat ourselves. So going forward, make sure that you go out your way and ask questions to your teachers. And if your teachers don't know, ask them to find out those answers for you. But your parents more than likely will be able to help you too.
Thank you so much. Hey, there you go. You get a shirt too. All right, and Lakeisha, your thoughts reminded me of something just before we close. Amaya, can I get you to come back up? Do you all remember where Amaya was standing? Yeah, she was standing at 1619. Before we go on our walk, I want to make a very important point. So I want to get as much of your attention as we can. The history of black people in the world does not begin with slavery. I'm going to say that again for the people at the food truck. The history of black people in this world does not begin with slavery. That's just where the story begins in this country. So I think when you're talking about how we need to educate our community and our children, we need to start in places that are affirming. And it's unfortunate that many of our conversations about black folks begins with slavery when that is not how our story begins. Our story begins with people who were philosophers, mathematicians, people who built great buildings and reigned over kingdoms. That's where our history starts. And it's unfortunate that often it seems to start at 1619 as slavery.
Anybody else have any more questions, comments? Hopefully you guys took something away and is able to educate your friends, family members, and it doesn't stop here. Make sure you guys research more, look outside the book, ask questions, and being one of the first black pioneering families in Royal Oak, which I hold very dear to my heart, my family members were freedom seekers. So we have to start changing our vocabulary as well. It's not slavery, it's not like, I apologize, I take that back. It's not escaped slaves, it's freedom seekers. People who are actually looking to achieve the goal of being free. We don't want to use that word anymore. We're not escaped slaves, we're freedom seekers. So we got to learn to be able to eliminate those bad terms out of our vocabulary and learn more and teach more and be able to educate. So from here on out, we want to make sure that everybody who is registered for the walk get your t-shirts, which is inside the farmer's market. They should have your name and your sizes. First come, first serve. After those are all distributed, then you guys, whatever's left, you guys go in and grab the rest of your shirts. Also, we want to say that after our walk, we are having Ray's Ice Cream, another Royal Oak-owned restaurant or ice cream store that has donated ice cream for our event. So after our walk, we're going to come back, celebrate more, and have Ray's Ice Cream. So once again, go inside, grab your t-shirts. Walk's going to start here in about 5 minutes. A lot of things going on. New this year, we've got a rock climbing wall. We have the famous and the talented Jaden Ivey coming back from the Pistons. He's coming to sign basketballs and autographing, and that's a big hit. We've got more vendors this year. We've got story time with Miss Juneteenth, which is why we've got this set up here. We've got a lot of activities for the community to come together.
My name is Carvel Wilkins. I am the standing committee chair. So this is the third year that we combined with Royal Oak, but we've done it a total of 4 years. It's very important to hold an event like this at this time period because it's all about the community. Our job as the community is to stick together and stay together, whether you believe in the right or the left, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, we're all human and we're running the same race. So it's our job as a community to come together, walk together, and love one another. And this is what Juneteenth is all about. Yes, this is about history and what happened during that time period, but this is history and we learn from it. If we learn our history, we won't make the same mistake in the future. And the purpose of the walk is to emulate 1865 steps, and that's exactly when slaves were free. We want to make this ceremony at this point just something that the community could share and something that we could all come together and be able to put our differences aside and just learn from history and learn, not only learn from history, but practice a better future. just in your head, think, reflect. These steps represent our ancestors, represent the people before us. This is a time where, you know, we get to have the luxury of what our ancestors went through. Remember that, okay? So these steps we're taking, just take it all in, okay? Take it all in, think about our history, and think about our community. Because if it wasn't for our history and our ancestors and what they did for us, none of us would be here. And none of us will be able to savor the luxury of the life we're living today. So just remember that, okay? All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Sorry, that's not funny.
No, it's okay.
My name is Rachel Andrews, and I am the chair of the Human Rights Commission here in Royal Oak. The Human Rights Commission was established in 2022 as a response to the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, and we got seated finally in 2023 and have been working towards getting into a mission of working towards equity and inclusion in Royal Oak, Michigan. I think it's a holiday that a lot of people still don't even understand why we need to celebrate or what we are celebrating. So for that reason, I think it's really important. I think it's an amazing, positive, joyful holiday to celebrate the African American community and everything that they've achieved.
We've got 3 over here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nayla.
Hi, my name is Eden Hayes.
Hi, my name is Michaela.
Hi, my name is Joya.
So these are our beautiful Miss Juneteenths. They're going to be inside the farmer's market doing story time. So if your children just need to cool off and just read a good story about Black heritage and Black excellence, go inside and they're going to read it to you. And they're going to be signing signatures as well.
First, I just want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here. There's true freedom in Jesus Christ. Just say that He's the way, the truth, the life, and there's true freedom in Jesus Christ. So love you guys. God bless you guys, and He's coming back.
So thank you, Jaden, for that. And we also have to think that a lot of prayers was needed during June 19th. I'm sorry, I apologize. There was a lot of prayers that was needed in 1865, and even before that, where you had a lot of freedom seekers that looked up to God for guidance and asked God to guide them through the struggles that was handed to them, not through Him, but through men. So we want to make sure that we keep God first if you are a believer of God. If not, you have brothers here that will talk to you on, the true light of God. So we want to thank you again, Jaden, for coming out. He's going to be out by the basketball hanging out with us, and we appreciate you guys all for being here. There's yoga up there, and you guys have a fun time. If you guys have any questions about prayer or anything, we have a couple of pastors here and firm believers of Christ. Thank you, guys. My brother and I started this celebration 4 years ago. With the thought and the love of our father, who passed away, unfortunately, in 2020. We wanted to make him proud of us, so we decided, why not start a Juneteenth celebration in our city? As said before, this is American history, so it's for everyone to learn and to do better. We come here to celebrate life, love, and fellowshipping with other people. As we're growing in Royal Oak, we're hoping that our city becomes more diverse. Although we're getting there, but we need to be able to coexist with each other and think outside of the box and be able to educate each other on the right history and the correct information that is given. I was never educated on Juneteenth, so it wasn't until I was way into my early 20s until I actually knew the meaning of Juneteenth. And I think Juneteenth should be celebrated from, baby all the way up until adulthood. So why not educate our elementary students as young as kindergarten about their history and the American history and Black history? We need to learn about the excellence of Black history as well. So it's not just about Juneteenth, it's about actually honoring Black communities and Black excellence and just your brothers and sisters of color. I hope that every year it just gets bigger and better and more people will come out and celebrate with us, because although people might not understand or don't know about Juneteenth, this is the perfect time to learn. We celebrate July 4th as our independence, but let's keep in mind not everybody was free during that time. So when we celebrate Juneteenth, this is also independence for the Black community and the heritage behind it.